Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Barlo Zone, home of the one and only Demon Hunter King Kaido, himself sent to Azeroth. How's everybody doing today? I want to start off by saying, forgive me on the look. Weather's starting to get pretty bad where I'm at, so, having to clean shave, it's starting to get a little chilly when I go outside, so I think I'm going to go ahead and let it grow. You guys let me know how bad it gets, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't grow a good beard. I really don't. I know it. I'll end up messing with it, but I mean, you can see it's all a little. The Native American blood runs deep, but I got a little bit of that Hispanic in there too, so I got to have some facial hair. Anyway, I gotta. You guys might notice I don't have my notepad set up today because I don't really have any notes to go off of. This video isn't going to be about a theory. I don't think. I don't know. Honestly, it might end up being presented like a theory by accident. As I said, I didn't script this one. I needed to come to you guys and let you know what's been going on with me, because as I pointed out in my chapter reaction, like, there was a lot going on, and I even was a little sus of the cover story, right? Like, I still think there's something there, but the truth is, guys, I and it's not something I realized until yesterday, but I'm still reeling. Like, I was trying the last few days, I've been trying to put my thoughts together, come up with something so I could, come to you guys with a theory, something interesting to think about, maybe spark some conversation for you guys, whatever it may be, whatever your reasons for checking out the videos are. I wanted to come up with something enticing for you guys, and I was really struggling to do that. And a lot of times I find when I'm at trying times in my life, for lack of a better term, right? I find that I dive into music really hard, right? Most of the time it's, I'll pick a song, maybe 2 or 3 songs, and by the last song that I pick, YouTube will have a mix ready to go. I'm sure you guys know how it is. If you listen to music on YouTube, I'm sure you know how YouTube does, right? But I was listening to the music and I was jamming, I was vibing, I was distracting myself, right? Because that's what it was. I was distracting myself from the topic at hand because I was struggling to wrap my head around what was going on, what my thoughts were. And yesterday, I sent my homie on Discord a message because I had a realization that really threw me for a loop. And it was something, you know what, I'll get into it relating to One Piece here in a minute, but what was my realization, right? My realization was that I've been traumatized. Like, this God Valley flashback has gone so hard, dude. Like, I'm dealing with actual trauma from what I've been reading, like trying to come to terms with what I'm seeing on page. I don't know if anybody else has been struggling with that, but as an example, because there were 2 songs that just kept coming up 2-3 times a day on the playlist, right? Now, admittedly, some of those were me searching the song, and then it just came back up on the mix later on with what YouTube threw together. But what were these 2 songs, and why did realizing that I was listening to these a lot help me understand? The first song is an old classic band I grew up listening to called Pop Evil. They've I mean, as far as I know, they're still doing stuff. They were never a favorite band, so I didn't like keep up with new releases constantly, but I always enjoyed jamming to them, right? Like, Higher is one of my all-time bops. Like, I love it'll pop into my head sometimes, but that's not the song I was listening to. The song that kept coming up by Pop Evil was Torn to Pieces. Beautiful song. If you guys aren't familiar with Pop Evil, I do recommend Higher and Torn to Pieces. Admittedly, that second one is a bit rough. Let's check out this other song, because it really was, for me, the combination of realizing that both of these songs kept coming up. And that second song was Distance by Mammoth WVH. Mammoth WVH. Wolfgang Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen's son. After he passed, he started, or he released an album kind of in honor of his dad, right? If you guys are fans of Eddie Van Halen, the band Van Halen, whatever it is, 80s rock, I do recommend checking out Wolfgang. I believe he still goes by Mammoth WVH, but I did hear a rumor he was talking about dropping the Mammoth because, I mean, come on now, dude. Wolfgang, that's just a bad name. Like, you don't even need any kind of gimmick name, just Wolfgang. No, you don't even need Van Halen. Anyway. These songs have a common theme, right? Like, they're both about dealing with the loss of a loved one and, like, the struggle. Because, with Pop Evil, the song specifically talking about his dad. The music video is kind of a lot clearer on it. The lyrics not so much. But the singer is talking about his own dad dying and troubles he was having dealing with that, right? And then again, with Wolfgang, it was him trying to process the passing of his father. Now, if you're going to check out Distance by Wolfgang, I highly recommend the official music video because dude goes raw. He allows us to see into his life growing up with Eddie. So, we get to see a side of Eddie that we didn't really get to see a lot, and really connect with Wolfgang and understand the struggle he was going through at the time, right? But both of these songs kept coming up, like, constantly. And by the third day, by yesterday, I got to thinking about it because I was sitting down yesterday trying to figure out something to talk to you guys about, something to come with a theory, because, I was at 3 days. I was starting to feel the pressure, like, Barlow, you really need to get something up, but you don't just throw garbage at them. You want your viewers to respect you, right? Like, you don't want to do clickbait, garbage, trash tier content just for the sake of having clicks and interactions. That's not my brand. Like, and it's why I've explained to you guys. It's why I do minimal editing, so that you guys can see the sincerity on my face and the words that I'm speaking to you, right? So, obviously, in this God Valley flashback, right, we are heavily dealing with Zebek, but we've gotten a lot of Dragon as well, right? And dude has been struggling. Like, I really enjoyed, I've been seeing a lot of the comparison between Usopp and Dragon, and I really like that because, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, on God Valley, Dragon is the everyday man without any kind of crazy power, without any kind of stupendous, height or physical build. Dude's just out here, normal human, trying to do the best he can and struggling. But beyond that, with 1164 ending off the way it did with Zebek, Garp, and Roger facing each other down, right? We've also got Garp and Roger, two other people who would become fathers in this story. Or I guess Garp is already a father. And I don't know, things about to get weird between him and Dragon, I just know it. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say I have read the spoilers for 1165. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not here to break down spoilers, talk about anything else. If y'all are on X, everybody's been sharing this week's spoilers, so you've already kind of got an idea of what's going on there. I don't want to talk about that. I don't know. I guess I don't want to talk about it, but I am going to talk about part of it in relation to, now bear with me, in relation to what we kind of already knew what was coming, right? Because at the end of 1164, as I said, we had Zebek, Garp, and Roger all squaring up. Garp and Roger about to earn their titles, their legendary status. And as I've said, they almost certainly don't want it. Like, my heart goes out to you guys. You're about to do something you don't want to do because it has to be done. And We need to respect that, because these aren't men chasing a legend. Roger's a pirate. He wants fame and wealth and all that, but at this point in his journey, I don't think becoming Pirate King was on the table. That wasn't something he'd even consider. Like, dude was an adventurer. Let's be clear about that. Dude was closer to Nolan than he was to any other pirate. The same as Luffy, much closer to Nolan than to what a pirate actually is. They're just out here having an adventure, right? But greatness is about to be thrust on these two fathers. Speaking of Roger and Garp. And Xebec deserved better, man. It's a phrase that keeps replaying in my head because Oda is on fire. Like, say what you will about this week's spoilers, but understand they're brief spoilers. It's not a synopsis. They're not telling you everything that goes on in the chapter. They're hitting a few hot button phrases to get people talking, to keep hype and suspense going, right? Like, and I pointed that out in my video about why spoilers are good for the communities. Keeping us talking about this content, these series, is important because it keeps us invested, keeps us looking forward to the next chapter, right? And now, I don't want to talk about the spoilers, so I'm going to digress. I needed to rant a little bit. As I said, this one's unscripted. I'm full on raw coming to you guys on this one because I'm having trouble. Really, really struggling. I want you guys to know it's not that I'm losing interest because my videos haven't been getting reactions or getting views or clicks or whatever it is. To be clear again, that is not why I'm doing this. I'm here to have fun for myself, present my ideas in the hopes that maybe one person out there might listen, enjoy what they hear, and start a conversation with their friend group. That's the only reason I'm here. I'm not trying to make money off of this. I'm not trying to get to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm not trying to get to millions of views on a video, right? I just wanted a platform to share my thoughts. So I want to be clear, the extended break this week with my release schedule isn't because I'm losing interest in the platform. I really, really have been having fun with YouTube, and to everybody who's been along for the ride so far, I really appreciate you guys. I want you to know this video is for you guys. I really felt bad not having something to post yesterday, but to me, I would rather not post than post something that's going to be garbage tier and make you start completely ignoring my channel. Unsub, whatever you end up doing. I guess there is one other thought, and I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about talking about this because I've been talking about it a lot, right? Like, kind of accidentally becoming one of the vocal advocates for this side of the argument. Accidentally, wasn't even something I was trying to do. I was more so at the time when I first started presenting it, trying to do the devil's advocate thing. Like, hey, you know what, guys, let's stop to actually think about what was going on here before we just run with the conclusion we've already come to, right? But I been thinking a lot about the characters I really enjoy from One Piece this morning. And in the process of thinking about some of my favorite One Piece characters, right, I had a weird realization this morning in that there isn't a single Straw Hat in my top 5 favorite characters anymore. Like, Luffy was up there. I think, last time I really thought about it, he was battling for that number 4 spot, number 5 spot. But, he's been thoroughly booted out of my top 5. And I'm going to go ahead and rattle it off just in case you guys wanted that information, right? Number 1 being King Kaido. That should be obvious. Number 2 is Kuma. I resonate with that man's story on so many levels. It's almost like Oda reached into my brain to create a backstory for this man. Number 3 is Dragon. And this is the part where I really want to stress. I am going to get into an explanation about some of this here in just a second. Number 4 is Zebek. And honestly, these two, 3 and 4, kind of up in the air. You know, from chapter to chapter, you know, the last 5 or so, it's been back and forth, you know, who was in my number 3 position, because learning about Dragon has been, I don't want to say heartwarming because my dude's been struggling, but it's something I've wanted for so long, something I've been craving, almost fiending for, right? Like something I needed in my life, and finally getting that in the story that we've been getting is just... Anyway, for number 5, that would be Marshall D. Teach. Now, as I said, a little bit of an explanation because I understand, all right? You know, y'all might already be commenting and, you know, writing something up. It probably is a bit of recency bias for the 3 through 5 spot. I don't know, because Dragon's always been right there for me, man. I know we didn't know a lot about him, but I had a plethora of theories about the chatted man this dude was and the father that he always wanted to be, even before any of these reveals on God Valley, right? So Dragon's always kind of been up there, at least as far as the Enigma list. He has been leagues ahead of Shanks on my favorite. Honestly, guys, I don't even know if Shanks is in my top 15 or top 20. I'm not a fan of the dude. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's plotting on Luffy, but I'm going to move on. I do realize that some of this might be recency bias, right? Not only in the fact that, you know, all of their arcs, including Kaido and Kuma, so all 5 of my top 5, have been elaborated on in depth in the last 3 arcs, right? Talking about Wano, Egghead, and Elbaf. Because the God Valley flashback is part of Elbaf, just like the Odin flashback was part of Wano. So all of these characters have been elaborated. Whoa, sorry about that. Have been elaborated on recently, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's not the recency bias I'm talking about. Because, you know, I don't know, Luffy's backstory is kind of just the story for the most part, right? Zoro's got a solid one. Robin's got a heartbreaker. Chopper, man, I really hope he survives. That I'm gonna just leave it at that. You know, Usopp's got a sad one. The Straw Hats as a whole tend to have heart-touching backstories, right? Like Oda wants to make sure we connect with these characters on some kind of level. Maybe not our favorite character, maybe not, we don't resonate with them on like that soul eater level, right? Like, you know, we're unlocking soul resonance with the character. But he wants us to feel something for the Straw Hats. And that's where the recency bias I'm talking about is, because for the most part, these characters have long since been introduced, right? You know, he's had, I mean, other than Jinbei, who was, by the way, even Jinbei joining was going on pushing a decade ago now, you know. Wow, I'm getting old, guys. Anyway, Oda's writing skills have gotten a lot better, and the background information he is dealing with now is a lot more primo than earlier in the story when he was still setting up the world, right? So because of that recency bias for Oda, the fact that he is at a point in his life, in his writing skills, and in this story of One Piece, when he does a backstory that's meant to connect with us, it connects. Like, if you connect with a character in these last few arcs, it is that character pretty much, let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you connected with a character that didn't hit you like this, right? But since what, you know what? I'm gonna kick it back to Whole Cake. Since Whole Cake, if you connected with the character, it was because that character reached into your heart and grabbed it. Like, hey, we're in this together now, right? So recency bias for Oda and the fact that that makes his ability to craft a compelling backstory that much better. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the Straw Hats. They're a solid crew. They're all fun dudes and girls. They're all fun people. I definitely feel like I would enjoy hanging out with any one of them, including Zoro. Uh, Honestly, even though Sanji isn't my favorite Straw Hat, and I've got some issues with him as a character, as a cook, I actually would like to spend some time with Sanji just because I feel like I could pick some stuff up just by watching how he does things, right? On that, I would like to also kind of announce or ask you guys, wish me luck. I got an interview here in a couple days, and I'm really hoping that goes well because your boy Barlow could really, really use getting back to work right now. Not only just for the money, but I've been going hog wild, especially with One Piece hitting me in the heart every week, right? But I wanted to just real quick talk about Teach because I feel like Oda's playing with fire at this point, right? He definitely has a plan. Dude is headed somewhere with these revelations he's giving us. I have no doubt about that. But the fact that Teach has firmly usurped Luffy on my list of favorite characters, and not even just because he was a quote unquote bad guy. As I pointed out, on that list of my top 5, 3 of those have played bad guy, being Kaido, Kuma, and Zebek. Turns out that, say what you will about Kaido, I understand everybody has their own feelings about that, our Dragon Lord, but dude wasn't a bad guy. He did bad stuff. I'm not saying he did not do bad stuff. Dude was ready to nuke an island to make sure he was talking to the right person, and that is messed up. At minimum, messed up. But we learned why Kaido became the man he was, right? And I really connected with that. I don't remember why I got to talking about Kaido. I just really like talking about Kaido, I guess. But oh yeah, because Teach has been kind of framed as an antagonist, right? And I'm not saying he's not an antagonist. All I'm saying, and I've been saying, is I'm not getting tired of saying it. I'll probably continue to say it in future videos and future posts on Tumblr and future posts on X, on my Discord. I love talking about this. But Sasuke was an antagonist as well in Naruto. And let's not forget that both the mangaka worked as junior mangaka on a Rurouni Kenshin, so there is almost 100% certainty they talked to each other about these ideas they were having before they started publishing their own story. So you could say that, it's Oda stealing from Kishimoto. I don't think it is. I think it's just Oda announcing that him and his friend Kishimoto were close, that they had talked about things and bounced ideas off of each other. That's all I'm really taking from this theory, that Teach plays the antagonist in the same way that Sasuke does. That by the end, when the final war against Imu kicks off, Luffy and Teach will both realize they need to work together. I also, real quick, do want to present this little theory. I don't think I've ever actually said it in a video. So for theory time, just because I do want to actually try to have a theory to present, because I got to talking about Teach, I'll go ahead and go with this theory I've talked about before on my Tumblr and Discord. And the fact that with the revelations we've gotten about the Davy clan and Davy D. Jones recently, right? If Zebek is right, and Davy D. Jones is or was the proper king of the world and is no longer alive, then that means Zebek, the rest of the Davy clan, and by extension Teach, are in fact the one meant to be king of this world, which means Marshall D. Teach is the princess of the arc that is One Piece. Teach is the princess that needs help saving their kingdom. Now, like I said, that's just my theory. That's how I read what's been going on. As always, I'd love to know what you guys think about all this, because it's definitely interesting food for thought. I'm always open to new ways of looking at perceiving the story, the words and images on the pages we're getting, right? So let me know what you guys think. Do once again want to apologize to the viewers who do come back for my videos. I didn't want to bring you guys garbage tier content yesterday, and I felt like the fact I still didn't have anything, you guys deserved an explanation. I don't want anybody thinking that if my video gets 0 views, or the only view and like my video gets is mine, because I always watch the video and like it right after I post. It's kind of like a server putting the first couple bucks in the tip jar, get the ball rolling type thing. But yeah, as always, I've been rambling for what it looks like going on 27 minutes now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, if a YouTube comment isn't enough, I will make sure to drop a fresh link to the Discord in the bio and links to my socials, X and Tumblr. I look forward to seeing y'all there, and as always, I hope y'all have an amazing day, friends. Much love.